have that hidden. We are live. All right. I see there's a message in the private chat over here. So let me.
That was me. I was saying hi to you.
Oh, okay. So we are live and continuing our plan to finish out this book no matter what. If it's just us, then we're going to go ahead and do it. But I did see that Gio and Nicole saw the notice for tonight's meeting, but neither one of them indicated if they're coming. So, so I don't know. You think we should just go ahead and get started?
Yeah, I think Gio said she was going to try.
Okay.
Said that she would see me Tuesday. She would see us online Tuesday.
Oh, good.
So, and I've not heard from Leonie.
Okay, me either.
I'm hoping all is well.
Yeah, I am too. And Nicole, I don't know. I hope maybe Nicole will come next week for that final section of the book. If she can get off, since she didn't come the other because that is really action packed. That's all I'm going to say about Gehenna. So okay, well, welcome. Welcome, Kim. Welcome to whoever may tune in tonight. And I guess I'll say we are just about at the end of our session 12 reading selection, the book of NightWomen by Marlon James. And it's been a very interesting book. I don't know when we got started, September, I think. But next week is our last week. So we're in the next to the last part of the book. And my name is Michelle Odom. I'm in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm happy to be here. And Kim?
I am Kim Brandon. Here's my book.
Hey, that's the entrance fee.
And hi, everybody. Can't wait to discuss these chapters.
Yeah, you finally got some answers, right?
Oh, yes, I did. But I thought as much.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna close some of these Facebook windows that I have open because I always think it's sucking up bandwidth or something.
Uh-oh. It's July.
I guess I overclosed.
Well, welcome back. We've been reading this book since July.
Since July? Wow.
Since July 23rd.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's kind of long. I guess we're so used to having technical glitches now. I wasn't even worried about you leaving. So let me let me read this little bit summary of chapters 25 to 28. Chapter 25 closes the section NightWomen with a deepening of the relationship. Wait a minute, my TV is on. Hold on, Kim.
Okay.
With a deepening of the relationship between Lilith and Robert. He pushes Lilith to be free in their bedroom and shares his feelings with her about Humphrey's decision to marry Miss Isabel, feelings which lead to his termination of employment. Lilith has indeed become freer with Homer, sharing details with her on the slave auction she witnessed and admitting how she killed the Rogers. However, Lilith does. Huh?
What does that sentence say?
Lilith has indeed become freer with Homer. She details with her on the slave auction she witnessed and admitting how she killed the Rogers. However, Lilith does not plan to kill again, and Homer increases pressure on the reluctant girl to play the role she's been assigned in the planned revolt. Chapters 26 to 28 constitute the section Oriki, West African praise poetry invoked to praise a child for bringing pride to the parents or to evoke bravery, fortitude, and perseverance, and believed innate by pedigree. Robert and Lilith share a strictly forbidden kiss as he readies himself for leaving Montpelier. Lilith is adamantly against the revolt, which she believes is reckless and inspired mostly by Homer's need for revenge. Homer calls Lilith a Judas, and we learn that other estates have been dealing with their betrayers. Isabel's nighttime escapades are revealed, as are Massa Humphrey's violent past. At the final hour, Robert is asked to stay. Lilith believes her sisters are going to handle her as a Judas, but actually, Callisto slashes the throat of Iphigenia and challenges the quality of Homer's plan and the capacity of the elder sister to lead the revolt on Montpelier. So, here's Gio.
Hey, ladies, how you doing?
Hey.
Oh,
Hey,
hey.
Gio.
Hey,
How you doing?
hey. Oh, I'm okay. Doing okay.
You doing okay? Well, we're
Yeah.
so glad to see you.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Introduce yourself.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Georgette Moses, and I'm joining you guys from Columbia, South Carolina.
Yay. All right. So, Gio, yeah, we've gotten started. So what happened? We did a little shuffling. We canceled last week. 2 weeks ago, October 8th, it was just Kim and me that were able to come that night. And so we kind of talked about whether or not, people were going to be able to participate. And me, I'm like, all right, let's just call it a night.
Right.
And then maybe we're not going to finish this book. And, Kim is like, no, let's just do it. Even if it's just the two of us.
That's
right. My family from Germany was in town, so I couldn't kind of make up things for last week, but that's why we did the shuffling. And so tonight, you know, we just went ahead and started with the two of us because that's the mode we're in.
All right. I like it. Push forward. Yes. Get it done.
Get it done.
Yeah. I'm glad
So
you look like you had fun with your family though, from the pictures you posted. So that's
yeah.
cool.
Oh, girl, I'm still tired. I'm still in recovery mode. So, I am too old to be running around New York City like that.
Well, good thing is,
Um,
you know, it's not often. So you can rest up for the
yes,
next time, right?
yes, that's what I'm doing. That's what I am doing. So okay, so let's get it on. So Kim, you said you do have some questions. You want to start with your questions?
No, most of my questions are in the later chapters, so maybe we'll do
Okay.
mine towards the middle or the end.
Okay. All right. So does somebody want to read question 1?
I can do that. And I just wanted to say, Michelle, that was such a nice summary. It was tight and succinct.
Yes. Yes.
You kind of nailed what happened.
Now,
Thank you. Thank you.
like
Yeah.
Michelle, you should be a published author, or you know, working on the
Yes.
editorial staff of some great publishing company. You good.
That was my dream for a long time, but life got in the way. So,
It does, doesn't it?
Understand.
it
Yeah.
does.
Mhm.
Question number
But I'm
1.
still here.
Yes,
We sure are.
and that counts.
Now that we know Miss Isabel has been dressing up like a man and riding through the night to a trashy inn in Kingston for alcohol and sex, what do you think of her? Well, I never thought much of her. So so,
Tell us how you really feel, Kim. No,
I'm sorry.
it's okay.
Yeah.
So I just think that the duplicity of what it means to be a white woman in these times, you know, that they're supposed to be um virgin like, proper, but at the same time they'll kill a slave, cut, stick a hot iron up her twat and do all of this stuff. So there's a bestiality that it's like it's a two-headed coin. There's this bestiality towards uh, white women at this time, towards people enslaved, but at the same time they're supposed to be so genteel.
Mhm.
And Isabel proves time and time again that her slip is hanging. You know, the way she breaks into this dialect, and the things
Yeah.
that she knows. So I'm just wondering if she's actually a mixed blood herself. You
Mhm.
know, I know who her parents were, but at the same time, it just seems like somebody was dipping into to something, and I just always thought that she was conniving, and I am surprised. I was surprised that what she would do for drugs. She was just like the first crack whore in Kingston. you know,
Oh my goodness.
she was just like
Yeah.
whenever you put it on your body, I'll suck it off. And so
Yeah.
it was that surprised me that it wasn't one affair. She was just going in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Naked in front of a room full of people. Okay, so I just thought it lended itself well to the story but it didn't make me think less of her because I already thought less of her.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you. Gio?
Well, despite all her horrible hypocrisy, she is the embodiment of the empowered woman, is she not? She using all her wiles to their
Yeah,
to her greatest advantage, and she's
yeah,
getting what she wants.
yeah,
So I can't be mad at her for acting like a gangster, but but just like
yeah.
Kim said, she is definitely not the person who's gonna make it through Sunday church. Okay, she ain't gonna make it through unsaved. Here come the light and cacao, cacao. What you been doing, Isabel? So yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, um, I had that thought too, Gio, but I didn't have it, and I had those thoughts too, Kim, but I didn't have the thought of her as an empowered woman until my second read of the book. I think my first read, which was pretty fast, um, I saw her hypocrisy, but I wasn't seeing her her independence. And since I saw it this time, or saw it that way this time, um, it occurs to me that what we have in um, Isabel and Lilith are two different versions of independent thinking kind of women. So Isabel gives us an example of of what you could get away with and what you could do as a white woman in that era, or a Creole woman in that era. And Lilith gives us an example of what it looks like for an enslaved woman in that era. So, but what I mean with Lilith is, the way um, she keeps pushing Homer with her own thoughts about the revolt, as if somebody asked her. Um, the way she has always kind of stood up to the other Black people in the kitchen, and all around, just kind of saying whatever it was she was thinking. The way she kind of pursues this um, connection with Robert, who we're now calling Robert, right? Despite the consistent warnings that Homer and her sisters have given her, she just kind of is doing her own thing, despite all of the pressure on her to see things a certain way, to do things a certain way, so that's kind of what it's looking like to me now. Two different versions of empowered women.
I guess a question for you, Michelle. When you talk about empowered women, I'm just surprised at the fact that the author is a male, and both of these empowered women, the theme of their empowerment comes from sex.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Lilith is feeling like a white woman, getting white woman feelings because she is in bed with Robert, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why she's calling him Robert. And then Isabel, she's putting on men's clothes, but she's definitely taking those clothes off. That's her goal, is to get to a point where she can disguise that she's a woman until she can get those clothes off, until she can get the drug of her choice. So I don't see independence at all. I think I'd see more independence from Isabel if in her grieving she had some plan for her own family's estate. Or even look back over her shoulder to kind of say, now what to do with the house and the slaves and what's left of that. You know?
What I mean by that with Isabel is in her effort to kind of defy, all of that propriety that Isabel projects is a part of the constraint that was on ladyhood in that era. This is the lane that ladies stay in. And there's a part of Isabel that is like, you can't force me to stay in that lane. But the other thing, though, I think with Isabel is, there's been a lot of mental illness going on through this book. And I was trying to figure out, what is it that's going on with Isabel? Because I think it's more than grief.
Yeah.
Grief doesn't necessarily have you, doing all the stuff that she was doing. And so is it sleepwalking? Is it schizophrenia? It's like, to me, something else is going on with Isabel's mental health.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's because of whatever that is that it allows her to break out of this lane that has been set aside for ladies,
Because she's playing with fire. I mean, all one person has to do is get that story out there.
Mm-hmm.
And she could be strung up, so she's playing with fire that I don't think that she would be in her right mind and be someplace exposed like that.
Yeah. That's why it's not clear to me that she really knows, what she's doing. Because there were some scenes, when this part of the storyline was starting to be developed, where she just didn't seem to realize what she was doing. Lilith was picking up, her clothes and cleaning up after her, and she seemed disconnected then from what was going on. And then in this most recent chapter, she blamed, I don't know if it was Athena or one of the women servants, for being the one to dirty up those clothes and leave them in her room. And that might have just been Miss Isabel being a liar, but it could also be she's really disconnected from what she's doing. Because like when Lilith was watching her and Quinn was watching her in the early part of this story, she would have this like glazed out, glossed out look on her face as she was riding in the night. I think Lilith at one point described it as a masked look on her face, So I think she's a very severe case of sleepwalking, but more likely schizophrenia.
Mm-hmm.
Something else, but
Something. You're right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Isabel, but I had all the other thoughts as well, Kim, that, you know, she is just a nasty skank. That she has put all of this effort into monitoring and judging other people's behavior, and you know, and is the exact opposite of what she projects. So I do think there's that element to her, but I think she's as crazy as, you know, Mistress Wilson is. All of them, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This was the one point where it felt like this was written from a male point of view. This whole I just think that I'm wondering if a female author would have handled this whole scene differently.
Yeah, I think.
You know, it just seemed like, you know, he just decided, oh, she's in this sex den, let me just throw her in there. And I just don't see her getting up and getting back to herself in time to get back to Mount Pillar and then put on the mask. If she was so far gone that she's in a room naked with strangers coming in and out, if you're that high,
Yeah.
how do you then get on your horse, barely get back to Mount Pillar, and then by lunchtime you back with the
Yeah,
mask?
well, and do that over and over again. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, but even Robert said when he burst in on them that she looked at him like she was looking right through him, or something like that. Like
Right.
she's not there. So you know, so you know, mental illness, I mean, schizophrenia, bipolar, you know, that kind of thing is,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's very interesting because, you know, if you've ever been around anybody like that, the shift is quick. You know, you can you can like see it.
Yeah.
One minute you're talking to them, and you know things are going this way, and next minute, you know, it's like you're dealing with a totally different person.
That's true.
So you know, so yeah. But I felt that way too about the way, you know, the licking of the 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 alcohol off of some nasty man. You know, only a man could think of that.
Well, I don't know. You know, what was that magazine, Playgirl, back in the day?
Uh-huh.
Those editors came up with some real, you know, eye-popping stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
but
This is true.
but you know, can you bring up an interesting perspective? What would it have looked like if the character of Isabel, especially in this scenario, was approached with a feminine eye? So would we have needed to have like a stream of consciousness here? Like we have the voice of Lilith, right? We would need the voice of Isabel to understand how she viewed what she was doing and what she was going through. And then maybe you could have determined more clearer, was this, you know, her response to grief or just disappointment, not getting her plans the way she had planned her life to be, or whether or not she just has an addictive trait, you know, addicted to sex and drugs, alcohol, whatever, because that's her way of expressing independence and bucking the system the way it's been laid out for her to follow. So I think that would be interesting if he had a spinoff. Isabel, no, well, it's too late now, but
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I just kept getting the impression of the description of the room and how there was this lack of privacy. That even though I could see her doing everything that she's doing, it just was too public for me. It just felt like she was making a pornographic movie, and she was so used to this that anybody could come and see her doing all of this stuff, depending on where somebody puts this beverage, this liquor, and that just rang. I just think that had I written any of this, it would have been her in a private room in that same house with that guy doing all these things, but
Well,
not
maybe,
with the, huh? But
no, I
not
was
with
gonna.
the. Oh, go ahead.
No, but maybe she'd already done that. Maybe in his mind, she'd already done that, and now he's just hurrying up and depicting her at the base level of her transition. She's gone to, this is the worst that he could imagine, or imagine his audiences imagining that a woman at this time period in this place would sink to. Besides prostitution, I guess maybe, but there's just two, and I've read characters like this before where they have some sort of guilt thing going on, and so they take themselves down to the base of their imaginations, as some sort of penance. Maybe that was her penance, maybe it wasn't, but yeah, I could, yeah, I could imagine that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she's the exact opposite of her public persona when she dons this male's
Right.
outfit and transitions into this world where she's not supposed to be. So she can be free to do the worst thing that she can imagine because maybe she doesn't feel like she deserves, that other stuff that society has deemed that she should be rewarded. So, which is why she sinks into, her Gullah type language, her slang, you know, because she's flirting with it in her public persona. It's leaking over,
Mm.
that the dark side of her leaks over into the public side. And it's kind of like a game for her. At least that's how I was reading it as we were going along.
I
So,
like that
Mhm.
you're saying that could be over time. She's at the point now where she doesn't care who sees her, but I just don't find it believable that she would put on this whole disguise because she wants some level of anonymity, and then all of a sudden she is so far gone that anybody could come through and six people could be in the room while she is engaging in whatever she's engaging in. And then a bell goes off, she puts the male clothes back on, gets on her horse, and goes back to being a woman of gentry. I just find that hard to believe.
Well, from my soap opera watching days, there was One Life to Live. Victoria Buchanan was multiple personality,
Yeah.
and the real, or I forget what it's called, but the real core person, Victoria Buchanan, was this wealthy, upstanding, proper, well-respected, lovely woman.
Mm-hmm.
But one of her alters was this woman, Nikki Smith.
You
And when
remember all it?
you remember Nikki?
No, I don't know. Nikki. I never watched the show a day in my life.
Okay, all right. When Nikki was in charge,
Uh-huh.
Nikki knew everything. Nikki knew everything about what Victoria's life. She was controlling. She was controlling their action.
Mm-hmm.
But when Vicky was in charge, Vicky had like no awareness of these other alter personalities. So when one of the personalities would come out, and Nikki was like the bane, just the worst. She was the Isabel type, doing that type of stuff. And Nikki knew everything. Nikki knew everything. So that's why I guess it reminded me of, maybe Miss Isabel is schizophrenic, because
Yeah.
it's so far from her regular behavior, But in terms of being multiple people in the room, the man that she was with offered Robert to get in bed with Isabel because he said, she likes it like that. So
Good thing her mother and father are dead.
Oh. Now wait a minute. Now we know her father was a little hoe, right?
Yeah.
The fruit don't fall far from the tree.
Okay.
that's right. Let's look at it.
What she call his little cocky?
Yeah.
Yes.
His little lip cocky.
Who's gonna read question 2?
Okay, I'll read that.
Okay.
Okay. Despite pressure from Homer and fear of retribution from her sisters, Lilith stands her ground on her thoughts about the revolt and continues to enjoy Robert's good loving. How are we feeling about Lilith now? Will she be able to support the revolt? Do you trust her? Do you understand her point of view?
Okay.
Mm.
She's in a difficult space, isn't she?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
She trying to go along. Look, let's not rock the boat. Things are nice for me now. Can't we just all get along?
Right.
Nobody treated
Gonna
me.
get us all killed.
I ain't got to cut nobody. So it's good.
She reminds me of that scene in The Color Purple. I'm married
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I do think there's an aspect of Lilith that is a model of an independent woman. But I think she's very confused, and yeah, she's in a tight spot. But I'm not sure that she really grasps, maybe because she's never worked in the field. I'm not sure that she really grasps the motive of the slaves to be free. I started to say I'm not sure she grasps the brutality of slavery, but that's so hard to understand with all the whoopings she has taken.
Right.
But why that doesn't strike her as motive to want to be free is not really clear to me. She keeps telling Homer that Homer's only motivation is revenge because of the death of Homer's children. As if Homer doesn't have a lifetime of reasons, as if all of them don't have,
Right.
more than enough reason to want to get free. That just doesn't seem to be resonating with Lilith. Even as Homer tries to warn her about Robert, even as she is continuing to experience, you know, like most of the time he'll be sweet and loving and tender and gentle and all of this, and then something will happen and he'll, you know, choke the crap out of her or slap the black off her, you know, type of things. So even as Homer is trying to warn her that, you know, you really can't, you know, you really don't know that man. Nothing seems to be getting through to her. So yeah, I think she's a model of an independent woman, but I think she's a little cray-cray too.
I just remember how much she was in love with Humphreys. Remember, she would come and she would stick her little dress out so that he could kind of see her cleavage, and she actually thought that, you know, she could become queen of the manor. She was just so smitten with him, you know.
Yeah.
And this is somebody who just killed somebody, just got status from living in the basement, and you go from hiding for your life to falling in love with Humphrey. And
Yeah.
now when Robert Quinn comes along, you're just like, no, Massa, Robert Massa, Robert, no, Mama, rest. Get
Yeah.
out of here. I just wish she had more of a sense of agency for herself.
Yeah.
To just kind of say that the sheets are sweet, but at the end of the day, if there's one of us left standing, it's going to be me. And I don't see that with her. I see that she might try to save his life at the end of all of this.
Well, she did say in one of these chapters, when McCluskey came in and Lilith went and got the gun, she went and got the gun and she saved Robert. You know, so it would not be surprising if she tried to
during the
save.
revolt, do you think that she would still save Robert?
Well, you know, I mean, I know what happened, so I can't pretend like I don't. But but I would certainly say that at this stage in the reading, Lilith is a wild card. You know, we don't know which way it may go with Lilith, because she does have this kind of delusional way of thinking. You know, that and she clearly doesn't have the commitment to the freedom struggle that the other sisters have.
No.
They all know it. They've all seen it. She's been open about it. And I think she also genuinely questions the logistics of the plan. You know, she just doesn't, she when she first started questioning Homer about it, you know, I mean, she had some legitimate questions. And, you know, I think Homer didn't really respond to the questions. You know, Homer's attitude is, you know, shut up and do what I say. But, you know, Lilith does have some legitimate the efficacy of this plan, you know. And so, of course, by chapter 28, those same kinds of questions come up from Callisto, you know, who challenges Homer's authority and you know, but Lilith has been vocalizing those questions all along. So, you know. It's kind of like you got this old woman, Homer, and this young woman, Lilith, and how can Homer possibly hear that there may be some wisdom or something worth thinking about in what Lilith is saying to her. So Homer's just kind of reacting, in a knee-jerk kind of way, I think. But and I understand why Homer doesn't, trust Lilith. Doesn't really want to hear what she has to say, but what she has to say is not necessarily wrong.
I wanted to go back to Robert Quinn for a second. I feel for Lilith because here comes Robert Quinn and somebody else that says you don't have to work in the fields, you just have to kind of cook for me, you have your own kitchen, you have your own room, you have all of these things that slave girls don't have. Plus you have me calling you lovey. So I just feel like to have somebody be kind to you and be sweet to you, given all of what she has experienced and what she sees around her, I think that's potent. I think that kindness is so potent that it would just be like, water to a dying, thirsty person. So I could see Lilith just feeling like, oh, he calls her lovey, he sleeps with his head on her chest, all of that. It's like somebody's touching me kindly. And would protect me. But at the same time, when he hits her, then it's just like, oh, okay. So tomorrow night we'll be back in the bed and we'll be back into the lovey Robert situation. Even, he wants her to call him Robert or even Robbie. So I just think that would be so difficult to be in a situation where you're being asked to put yourself first and almost use Robert, where she's not using Robert at all. She's actually with him. Whereas Homer would use that guy. She'd be clear.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, it's a very hard position that Lilith is in. And and Homer's asking her not to feel a certain way, but how much control do we have over how we feel about anything?
And she's what, 17, 18 at this point?
Yeah. I mean, she doesn't have a choice about whether or not, she can be his mistress. She's gonna be his mistress because he said so.
Yeah.
So, why not make the best of a bad situation?
Especially when certain parts of it ain't bad at all.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, Kim, that makes me want to ask. Did any of y'all see the Pastor Wilson video?
Oh God!
It's so rare. I didn't.
No. What is
oh my God!
Who's Pastor Wilson?
I didn't see it, Georgette.
Oh my God!
I didn't see it.
I did not born before I clicked on it. Look at this. Oh, what?
What are we talking about?
I saw this.
Oh my God! There's a video. Pastor David E. Wilson. I think he's down there in Texas or somewhere. That's all I can say, Kim. I can't talk about it, but you could do a Google search. You're probably not going to find the video. I couldn't find it, By the time I realized there was a storm brewing, it was 24 hours later, and the viral video had been removed from.
It just popped up on my phone. It just came up.
Oh my God.
Okay, but that may not be the actual video because there are loads and loads and loads of commentary on it that are hilarious. But yeah, within 24 hours, it had been removed from YouTube and Twitter. But anyway, apparently the pastor was
He's eating somebody's lunchbox? Wait a minute.
Yeah. For the Lord. For the Lord, okay.
Let's see, we have just gone ratchet.
Yes.
when Kim started talking about the good loving Robert was putting down, it reminded me.
He's spreading the love of Jesus one lick at a time.
They say the man has set a new standard, Gio.
Oh my God. Oh, this is just, it's the end of days. It's the end of days, y'all. This is beyond.
Oh, poor Lilith. She's a young woman. You know, all the other men that have touched her have done so in an abusive, aggressive way. And and here is Robert with his tender, gentle, loving. She's dick whipped. And what poor girl. What poor girl can survive that situation? You just gotta go. So she is, you said it all, Georgette. She is in a bad position.
Wasn't it Homer that taught her how to make Quinn irresistible to her?
Yeah. Yeah.
Homer. So
so it worked. It worked. But he's got some, aspects of his own. And so she's understandably hooked.
Yeah, it's kind of like those spy movies where the double agent falls in love. What? No, we can't kill him. No, I have to tell you what the plan is. No, because I loved it, you.
How.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
at this point, Lilith is all she does is look after Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
That's better than sex, man.
That's sweet. That's a sweet job.
Vanita
always says, "I ain't never seen no slave get out of work the way."
That is so true.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a sweet job. So she doesn't understand what y'all Black folks are talking about, with this revolt business.
Yeah.
That's
a good point.
Man, that girl's never working.
No.
Yeah.
No.
That's true.
She's not working. Quinn got into a fight with Massa Humphrey over her. Quinn saved her from McCluskey trying to rape her. He's a protector. It's too much.
Yeah, she got it good. She's got it very good.
Yeah.
So that's why she doesn't relate to slavery and the revolt, because she just got it good.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But all Homer sees is her capacity as a killer, you know, and so regardless of what Lilith wants, she has been drafted to serve, you know.
And the only people Lilith killed were the people who made her work.
Well, she killed her first killing, the Johnny Jumper.
Yeah.
And, then the Roger family. There's a scene here where she's trying to count in her head all the people that are dead because of her, and she can't keep the number straight. I can't keep the number straight either. It's a lot.
She got up to 10.
Yeah, one of them was the girl who was supposed to serve at the banquet, and Lilith ended up wearing her dress. You know, she's dead because Lilith made some kind of backroom deal with the voodoo priestess.
That's right.
You know, so she's got quite a little history there. But what she's, you know, what all of that history has taught her is that, you know, it takes a toll on you. In fact, one of the questions, question 5, what do you think the pressure Homer has been putting on Lilith to participate in the revolt, even though Lilith has been very critical of the plans and says she does not want to kill again? What does it say to you that Lilith is so reluctant to kill? You know, she's been telling us that you know, the guilt, the mental burden that you're left with is a lot to bear. And again, you know, not intentionally. You know, the only intentional killing I think she's done is of the girl where she wanted to be the servant at the ball. The others were more situational, you know.
I think Lilith is a killer. I think that she will kill again. She's an opportunist. She's not somebody that wants to plan a death. But I think that if somebody got in her way of something that she wanted, Lilith would definitely kill you. And so, because when she's asking herself, do all Black women kill? I was just like, no. I think that must be a slave woman thing that we kill. And I was just like, no. Ask the other slaves on the plantation who they killed.
Right.
So she's like, I guess this is what we do.
Yeah.
So I think I don't think she wants to plan to kill people as a part of this revolt, but if there's something that she wanted and you were in the way, she'd kill you.
Yeah.
Well, you know, when she was describing to Homer how she felt about the killing and that it wasn't that she was afraid of killing, it was that she was afraid she would not stop because she liked it. So, well, that's, you know, being very honest with, you know, the whys and the wherefores of the, you know, the murder, because you understand what led up to them. You've accepted it. Maybe you don't, you know, she's not resting completely with the results, but this is a part of her that she understands and she doesn't want to go back down there because maybe she knows, you know, somehow internally that if she commits 100% to Homer and everyone's, you know, participation in this revolt, which is murder, it's murdering people, you know, whether they did something to you or not, and other Black people if they get in the way of you, you know, of the revolt, that she will completely lose whatever image of herself as she sees herself now. She'll be lost. She'll go straight over into that complete bloodlust. And so that's important. And the other thing, too, I think is related is when she saw the slaves on the auction block, the African slaves, and she saw them already hunched over in what she called the question mark. And she couldn't imagine them running freely in Africa because she doesn't have any image of what that looks like, that complete liberation, something to fight for, something, a situation better than what she is in right now. Right now, she feels, I believe, that her situation is as good as it's going to get, and she doesn't want to mess that up by either her own, reactions to situations or someone else wanting her to, do what she can to support their cause. So yeah, she's not connected to reality, and maybe that's how she, survives, is by accepting a particular version of fantasy because it helps her sleep at night. And then and do what's demanded of her during the day. Oh, you want me to call you, Robert? Okay, because this is what you do to continue on and not be beat or killed or something else worse happening to you. So, because to commit to Homer's um, campaign would be to say none of that matters, and how is she going? She's not that good at that kind of duplicity. you know, that probably Homer or anybody else would have be able to, oh, yeah, I'm gonna love you, I'm gonna kiss you, but tomorrow night I'm cut your throat, kind of thing. She can't do that because she's still a young girl, and
Yeah.
she's wrestling with these different kinds of emotions. So that's just kind of how I'm seeing it, you know, played out for her.
Yeah. One thing I was thinking about her reluctance um, is maybe it's a sign that
Sorry.
she's still in touch with humanity. You know, so so much, if not everything about slavery is dehumanizing, and actually killing people would seem to be, high on the list of the kinds of things that just take you away from your humanity. So the fact that she's got guilt and, a clarity that she doesn't want to do this again, I think are good signs for her humanity. Um, but um, you know, not good signs for her position in the Black community. So,
Yeah.
Kim, do you have a question you want to throw at us?
You're still on mute.
Sorry about that. So my question has to do more with chapter 28.
Okay.
So let's go back to Google Docs. Here we go. In chapter 27, we see the frayed threads of sisterhood as the NightWomen's emotional needs undermine their revolutionary efforts. Their leader, Homer, is lost and grieving for her dead children. Lilith is torn between the sweet love of Robert Quinn and that white woman feeling she gets, white woman feelings that he awakes in her, and her need to plot and prepare for freedom. And there are traitors in the midst. So here's some of the little small questions. What doesn't Homer know about the traitor? Does Homer have a plan to lead the people to revolt and freedom? Or has she taken leave of her senses and the revolt is a grand gesture to get herself and unfortunately others murdered? Robert Quinn is saying, Robert Quinn is staying. Will Lilith be able to see him murdered for freedom? Will learning about Quinn silencing the woman in Venice impacts Lilith's white woman's feelings? So what I'm asking is, now that she knows that Robert Quinn killed this white woman, is that going to impact her white woman feelings that he gives her? And then finally, Lilith counts the deaths. Was it 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people who have lost their lives because of her? She wonders if Black women are all killers. What would you respond to her? So you can take any of that any way you want to go.
Well, I agree with you. Not all Black women, not all Black slave women were killers. But you know, one man's, there's probably I know there's a more eloquent quote, but you know, one man's killer or murderer is another man's freedom fighter. So you know, so there's that. I don't think there's anything Robert Quinn can do really that would be a turnoff for Lilith at this point.
Really?
Well, she already knows the way he's been responsible for having her whooped. You know, and even as Homer was having her read Humphrey's diary, didn't seem to really grasp. You know, I think she asked the question, well, how did, what happened? How did he silence her? You know, and Homer was like, are you dense? You know, so it's like, it's just the dots are not connecting for her. And for all the times that Homer has told her, yeah, you may have been home getting good loving, but he was out here on the field, kicking ass, nothing seems to faze her. So yeah, I don't think that thing that happened in Venice before anything that has happened here in Jamaica, I don't think the thing in Venice is going to affect her.
Because she asked if he still has the same club or same cane, right?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I think that he clubbed her with a cane or something. And so Lilith was wanting to know if the cane was still in the house.
Yeah. What is some of the...
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Kim.
I just find it so... Oh, come on, Kat. I just find it so hard to try to empathize with Lilith because it's just so... It's just such a different time, a different place, and such extreme things going on all at the same time. That I think it's this extreme thing that there's 100 other slave women and men that are out in the fields working, being beaten for sitting a basket down. And here you have Lilith, who is sitting there making eggs for Robert Quinn on his mother's china. And I just find it like, how do you even relate to Lilith when she's actually the exception to a slave woman's life as opposed to the norm?
Right.
But the one thing I will say, which is different, I love Homer's voice. Homer is the most insulting person. She's just so perfect at it. So I do hope at some point this is a movie, because those Homer lines are just like so priceless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, she just has one after another.
Yeah. Yeah. What were some of those first questions?
Let's see. Oh dear. Okay, excuse me just one second.
Georgette,
Mm-hmm.
let's look at question 3.
Okay.
If you were Robert, would you have told Massa Humphrey of your opposition to his engagement with Miss Isabel? Was that a move? What else could he have done to try and protect Humphrey?
And that was a bad move. He got socked in the eye and told him, get out, kick rocks, Quinn. I don't care. I mean, he knew the
Yeah.
guy. That just had to be some Irish uh stubbornness. You know this guy is weak and he's got issues. It's just like if you know somebody's cheating on, you know both people, and you know one of them is cheating on. You don't say nothing. You let them find out later, and you say, "Oh man, I'm here for you. I know I didn't know nothing about it, okay, but I'm here for you." That's the first rule,
Yeah.
right? So no, that was not a smart move. And he can't protect Humphrey because Humphrey wants to enter into this Black Widow relationship. Okay.
The Black Widow.
Okay. Wrap me up and suck me dry. This guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
Isabel is just, she's got more skills than Quinn can imagine. Okay. Look at how she does her presto changeo. I'm going out all night and debauch, and then I'm coming back and I'm all proper and I smell like powder or something. But
Yes.
so I'm drinking tea. And
What a
so,
douche.
okay, right. I hope. So, and a man
Yeah.
in love or anybody in love is not going to see that, and they neither do they want to see or hear it. Okay, even when it's finally revealed to them, they're disbelieving. So, no, that wasn't a good move for Quinn. But it was
Yeah.
totally in character, though. Totally in character.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. It was not a good move. I think he overestimated his importance to Humphrey.
Mm,
Mhm.
You know,
yes.
he sees himself as Humphrey's protector. Um, he sees himself as that, and that is actually the reason that Humphrey hired him and brought him to Jamaica. So he's trying to do what he thinks is his job. But it's such a personal decision that there was no way he could win that. But I always have to remind myself that these are all still pretty young people. Humphrey and Quinn and Isabel, are in their 20s.
Hmm.
So, you know.
But they're would they have still had the same life expectancy? I think that they didn't live to be, older. I think that once life started in their teens, they were adults probably in their teens, whereas we're adults in our 20s and 30s today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I like the question. I think that if I was Quinn, I would have been slick about it. I sure would have. I would have said, there's somebody coming in and out of your house at such and such a time. So you just keep your eyes open. There's a man coming in and out of your house. Just keep your eyes open. I don't know what he's doing, but I think it's a white man.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Around 2:00 in the morning. We should wait for them to come home.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's a lesson for me that you got to be subtle because I like going directly at things. So I think this was a lesson to kind of say, well, maybe go around the side door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he did overestimate his importance. I like that statement.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What were your early questions?
Okay. Let's see. Get over here. Oh, the question is, does Homer have a plan to lead the revolt, lead her people to revolt and freedom? Or has she taken leave of her senses and the revolt is a grand gesture to get herself and unfortunately others murdered?
I don't think Homer has taken leave of her senses, really. I mean, I think what she's doing is praying in a language that Lilith doesn't understand. Praying and grieving and certainly the way that her children were killed is a part of her motivation for wanting to revolt, but it's not the whole story. Like I said earlier, Homer's got a lifetime of stuff built up.
Oh yeah.
And so do the other slaves, So I don't think Homer, I don't think she is so powerful that she is forcing all the other slaves on all the other plantations to participate in this. People are participating because they got their own good reasons. So no, I don't think she's crazy. I think her plan may not be as solid as it could possibly be. But I don't think she's crazy. In fact, she may be the one person in the entire book that I could say that about.
Possibly. Huh. Well, no, I have to agree with you. I don't think she's crazy, but when you have, it may seem like some sort of insanity when you are committed so 100%, well, past 100% to a cause that you see as the only resolution to current circumstances. So, and that involves something so final as murder, because there's no coming back from killing somebody and killing a whole bunch of people. and you know what the consequences are is death. So it's you or me. And so if I gotta go, I'm gonna try, and I'm gonna take as many of you with me as I can, because you are preventing me from reaching some ideal. And in this case, for these people, it's, freedom from the abuse, the bondage, and, just the horrible living conditions, to try to self-actualize. I'm a human being. You don't see me that way, but I'm gonna do what it takes to get there, no matter what. And so I think, like many group schemes, there's always some people who don't, they fall away, they can't see the vision, they're not committed, they're lured away by self-interest. There's dissension because, personal reasons. They don't trust each other. Okay, there's a lot to lose, and then finally they get cold feet. And so if they lose faith in the leader, that is a big problem. And so if you think, oh well, Homer, she, she's not as sharp as she needs to be, then you start thinking, well, I can do this, without her. Okay, I'm gonna get my group together, and now everything falls apart. So I think you see that a lot in different movements, whether they're violent or peaceful.
Mhm.
There's, the group is not solidified all the way through to seeing the fruition, of the vision. And
Mhm.
then it's just a footnote in history. So
Right.
yeah, and Homer's suffering from, the frailties of humans. Okay, if she was leading a
Mhm.
bunch of Terminators, it'd be a different it'd be a different story. But these are human beings with issues. And they're damaged people. They are still, we're dealing with a bunch of damaged people. So yeah.
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 I was just surprised that Homer wasn't aware that one of the sisters was a traitor. It just seemed like in earlier chapters, Homer knew every time anybody took a breath, much less, not to know that these other ones are conspiring to do something, and she's in the kitchen off, talking to her dead children.
Mm,
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah. Well, but that was a good plot twist, right?
Yes.
Okay. At first we thought they was getting ready to grab Lilith. Ah, no.
Yeah.
But
Right.
so
And Lilith tried to warn her even
Hmm.
about the other sisters, and Homer didn't seem to have much of a reaction to that, or didn't want to hear anything from Lilith. Um, so, she's clearly, a little bit out of touch with what was going on around her.
Right.
But yeah, I still wouldn't call it crazy.
okay.
No. No.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, those sisters, that was a shocker for me when Callisto slashed Iphigenia's throat. Uh,
Yeah.
it happened so quick, right? And we're waiting on Lilith to get whacked.
Yes.
Right.
And my favorite part was when they
Uh,
said that they told the other one, Hypatala, what's her name?
Hippolyta.
Hippolyta.
Uh-huh.
They said, we told Hippolyta that we were coming for her. And Hippolyta was like, well, shit. Wait a minute.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. But I mean that whole um I think I might have had a question in here. I don't know about betrayal. I don't know. But that whole theme in the book is very interesting to me. So in these particular chapters, we find out that the other plantations have been dealing with their Judases.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a part of what causes Lilith to fear, because Homer has called her a Judas. But it's just, it's just pretty interesting that somebody can label, put that label on you. And then, you're running for your life.
Yeah.
I was glad to see that the sisters didn't just kill Iphigenia. They had a whole plot set up, to figure out who the Judases were.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a little bit more than somebody just calling you a Judas and now we kill you. They had some evidence. So that was good. But yeah.
I was surprised that was the first Homer was hearing about it.
Yeah.
That made me feel like, well, I don't want to go into battle with you. If you don't even know what's going on right here.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I guess, Callisto and whoever else have been planning around Homer, behind Homer, all along. We're just finding out about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for them to have that plan set up to figure out who the Judases are, they've been at this for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And Homer did.
Like Homer had slowed down so much, because there was a point where she had come outside to talk with Lilith, and then Lilith was amazed at how much her gait had slowed over such a short period of time, how old she had become.
Yeah, yeah.
I was just wondering what was going on with Homer. But she looked like she could whip up some root tonic and whatnot and get her act together.
Right.
Yeah. She ain't got time for no illness and no slowing down.
Yeah. Yeah.
If her revolution's coming, this ain't the time not to be drinking the tea. She got to drink her special teas.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
That's why I was just wondering. I was like, what happened to Homer? Come on, Homer, you the girl.
Yeah.
I'm Team Homer, so.
Yeah, no, I felt bad for her. I haven't talked to Vanita about it, but I know Vanita has been Team Homer all along. So
Yep.
probably devastated by this news. But I mean, I think and it's almost 7:30 and I'm sure that this will come up in the chapters for next week. But I think that there have been a number of concerns that certainly for me about Homer's leadership style that have kind of been there from the beginning. And I guess the other sisters saw it and, were making their alternative plans. But so, just for example, the way Homer has insisted that Lilith is going to be a part of the revolt.
Mm-hmm.
Was that a good was that a good strategy? Is it a good strategy to have somebody, in a key position where they're responsible for a certain amount of killing and you don't know if they're really going to go through with it or not? Because they've told you they're not.
Right.
So you're just going to bully them into, yeah, you're going to do it, but is bullying a good strategy? You know? So I think there have been some signs like that, you know, about her leadership style that when we finally get to this point where she's essentially being overthrown, it's not so surprising to me.
Could it be that Homer just genuinely has this affection for Lilith, that if the choice is you with us or you're against us, then she's trying to drag her over to the with us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it just seems like Homer's always had this affinity towards Lilith.
Yeah. Yeah, she has. But, you know, if those are the only two choices, you know, and somebody's telling you they really don't, you know, they're really not down with you, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, so even at the point that Homer was bringing Lilith into the private night meetings, you know, Lilith said from the first meeting that she went to, I don't know what y'all got going on here, you know, but I don't want none of it. Well, should you be bringing somebody to a night meeting and you kind of don't know where their head is?
Unless you're prepared to kill them.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And we thought Lilith might get killed that night.
Yeah.
Yeah. But really, it was Homer that was exposing the group to the risk that Lilith represents.
But Lilith was supposed to have been the chosen one. She was supposed to have been the one with the mark of whatever.
Yeah.
And that she was the one who was going to pull all of them together because they saw something when she was born. So maybe there is something that Homer knows and sees from her birth. But these are people who really, really practice the spirits. And so it's like the other ones are just like, yeah, well, that's your vision of her, Homer. But Homer's still like, this is our faith, this is our religion, that when this girl was born, X, Y, and Z. So we can't undermine that. So maybe that's what Homer's thing is for Lilith.
Yeah.
Because Lilith definitely is an art is different than all the others.
Yeah.
I just, when she said she get white woman feelings, I was just like, what? What?
But, you know, it's making her uncomfortable too. You know.
Yeah.
They're uncomfortable.
It's sad that you would call loving white women's feelings. So I like when Homer said, "Oh no, I had a little love at one point.
Yeah.
You know, for a minute I had a man."
Yeah.
The betrayal.
Yeah.
It sure was. Oh boy.
All right, ladies. I guess we should call it a night.
Okay.
It feels like after you finish reading these books, you have to go and watch Winnie the Pooh or something.
I know, right?
Imagine living it.
Yes.
So then tomorrow we got to go back to actually living our own version of this.
Yes, absolutely. Well, fasten your seatbelts because these last 3 chapters are a mess.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm gonna read them tonight.
Okay.
All right.
You read them already, Georgette?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, okay.
So am I lying, Georgette?
No, it's a great ending. It's great.
It's a great ending.
It's great.
Okay, so I'm gonna start reading ahead. Y'all ain't that ain't right.
Well, no, see, Kim, I read this book before, and then when you guys
Oh,
picked it, I'm like, oh, good, I can read it again.
I can't wait. I
Oh
I
can't
didn't
wait.
yeah,
realize you had read it before. Okay, good. Okay,
yeah.
so see you next week. Have a
See
good
you next
weekend.
week.
All right, ladies, enjoy yourselves. Okay,
Okay, have a good one.
bye bye.
Okay, good night.